The silence that fell over Arturo's gallery, London's most exclusive minimalist art space, was so brittle it seemed poised to shatter. Whispers ceased, critics' heads froze in mid-nod, and dozens of eyes fixed on the small, unassuming space beside a stark white canvas. 20-year-old Maya Petrova was visibly trembling. Her hand, clutching a small, brightly colored chalk, wavered as she reached out to the pristine white wall beside the painting. The gallery's carefully curated, stark silence had just begun to press in, and the art student's impulse to add a splash of life came without warning. A small, almost invisible smudge on the wall, a mark of impurity, had triggered it. "Young lady, control yourself!" Miss Evelyn Thorne, a white woman with an impeccably severe sharp voice, cut through the hush. "That's a desecration!" Professor Alistair Finch, head of the city's most prestigious art academy and one of the gallery's most influential patrons, swallowed hard. It was the first time he had brought Maya to such an exclusive event, constantly critiquing her lack of conceptual depth. "Maya, step away," the order came, low but firm. Leo, a young, aspiring street artist and part-time cleaning staff member, remained motionless, his gaze shifting between the formidable curator, the esteemed professor, and the girl. In his 2 years working there, he had learned to become invisible, especially to patrons like Eleanor Thorne, whose foundation had once briefly dismissed a proposal from a community art project he co-founded. "Miss Thorne, I'm leaving. My shift is over." His voice sounded calm as he removed his crisp white gloves. To everyone's amazement, he smiled at Maya and took a step towards the wall. "Can't finish a masterpiece with a vacuum cleaner, can I?" Evelyn stood up abruptly. "What do you think you're doing?" Leo held her gaze. "I'm accepting an invitation, ma'am." Before anyone could interfere, Maya took a hesitant step forward. Her hand, guided by an unseen force, extended the smudge into a delicate, vibrant butterfly wing. The air crackled with tension. But Leo didn't try to guide her. He simply adjusted his own pace. "He's getting blacklisted tomorrow," whispered a critic. Professor Finch watched, paralyzed. A sudden memory struck him, his own rebellious youth, creating vibrant, illicit street art before he conformed to academia. "It's about expression," his bohemian art teacher had said. As Leo followed Maya's hesitant strokes, fear gave way to intense concentration in the girl's eyes. Shame gave way to shy pride. For the first time since she'd entered the rigid art world, she wasn't being guided, she was leading. "Miss Thorne!" The professor's voice interrupted. "I assure you this will never happen again." Evelyn didn't respond. Maya's smile, however, was the only color that echoed in Evelyn's mind. Leo led the girl back to her spot after a few more shared strokes. "Thank you for creating with me," he said formally. "It was an honor." When he turned to leave, Evelyn stopped him. "Wait." Her voice sounded different. "What's your full name?" "Leo Hayes, ma'am." Evelyn nodded slowly. "Leo Hayes," she repeated. Then she took a card from her pristine jacket and held it out. "My office tomorrow at 9 a.m. The entire gallery held its breath. Leo accepted the card without showing emotion, but his hand trembled slightly. "Professor," Maya called as he walked away. "Why did you do that?" The question hung in the air. Professor Finch watched his student and, for a brief moment, saw a complete artist whose inherent creativity he had systematically ignored. As the reception proceeded, no one noticed Leo's calm determination as he left, contrasting with the storm brewing in Evelyn Thorne's eyes. If this story about authenticity and transformation is already touching your heart, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to follow how a simple gesture of artistic freedom can spark a silent revolution capable of transforming lives forever. The pristine lobby of the Thorne Art Foundation sparkled. Leo Hayes felt out of place in his best, slightly paint-splattered outfit. "Leo Hayes to see Miss Thorne," he told the receptionist. 25th floor. "Mr. Davies will see you." In the elevator, Leo took a deep breath. It wasn't fear he felt. It was quiet determination. Mr. Davies, a man in his 40s, led him. "Miss Thorne is in a conference call. Please follow me." As he walked through the minimalist mirrored hallways, Leo felt curious stares. A street artist escorted through executive art offices was rare. She had you blacklisted, didn't she? Davies asked suddenly in a waiting room. It happens. Powerful patrons call and people like you lose their chances. Artists who don't know their place. Leo smiled, not amused. And where exactly would that be? Before Davies could answer, his phone rang. She'll see you now. Evelyn Thorne's office took up half the floor. Through floor-to-ceiling windows, London looked like her personal canvas. Miss Thorne. Leo greeted her. Evelyn turned, a mask of control. Mr. Hayes, thank you for coming. She pointed to a chair. The silence was calculated. Do you have a background? Evelyn asked. Art school? Gallery experience? Leo kept his gaze steady. Self-taught, extensive experience running community art workshops with a focus on urban revitalization through murals. Something flashed across Evelyn's face. And you clean galleries? I work 3 jobs. The gallery, a pop-up art shop, and as a mentor for at-risk youth. Evelyn picked up a folder. I did some research on you. I wanted to understand who the person was who, she hesitated, drew with my protégé. She opened the folder, revealing photos of a community center, Canvas for Change, which he co-founded. Leo sat up straighter. I co-founded it with my sister, Clara, a program that empowers marginalized youth through collaborative public art. Evelyn leafed through documents, which is now about to close due to lack of funding. Leo showed no surprise. I didn't come here to ask you for money. Then why did you come? Because you invited me. Evelyn laughed softly. Fair enough. She stood up. I want you to work for me. Leo blinked. As a resident artist in your gallery? Evelyn's face hardened. As a creative director for our new Emerging Talents division, specifically mentoring young artists like Maya. Her protégé's name seemed difficult for her to say. Leo noticed her eyes drift to a photo. A smiling man creating a colorful abstract. I have the best art critics and educators, Evelyn continued. But what you did yesterday, she paused. It was just a few chalk strokes. It was the first time I've seen her truly express herself since she joined the academy. The admission was painful. I don't want a technician for my protégé. I want someone who can do what you did. Follow her impulse, not dictate it. Leo studied the woman. Beneath the power, he saw a desperate, lost patron. I can pay you 5 times what you're making now. Leo stood up. No. Evelyn looked shocked. I don't work for people who see only my social standing or lack of formal training before my competence, he explained. And I don't work for people who try to buy solutions to creative blockages, especially after their foundation reviewed and dismissed my methodologies years ago. Evelyn's face flushed. Leo had come prepared. You're turning down an offer that would solve your financial problems out of pride? Out of dignity, Leo corrected. And because your protégé deserves more than someone hired to pretend to care. He walked to the door, then paused. Maya doesn't need more established critics. She needs space to lead her own artistic journey. You don't know my protégé. No, Leo agreed. But I know artists like her. Artists whose conventional limitations are nothing compared to the invisible cages we build around them. He took a card from his wallet and placed it on the table. Canvas for Change workshops are on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 4 p.m. If you'd like to bring Maya, the first session is free. As Leo left, he passed Mr. Davies, who had obviously been listening. You just turned down an offer from Evelyn Thorne, he whispered. Are you crazy? Leo smiled. Maybe, but I'd rather be crazy than be property. The following Wednesday, Leo was at the community center reception when Clara, his sister, came running up. There's a limousine parked outside, she whispered nervously, and you won't believe who's inside. Through the window, Leo saw the car. Maya was in the back seat. Evelyn Thorne remained in the driver's seat. She's not coming in, Clara predicted. Women like her don't come to places like this. Leo smiled. Don't underestimate a determined artist. As they watched, the car door opened. Maya got out. Then Evelyn got out too. She looked out of place in her casual clothes, still screaming privilege. "I told you she'd come," Leo murmured. Clara stared. "What did you do?" Leo didn't answer, but his eyes sparkled. In his apartment was a notebook filled with notes about artists like Maya and patrons like Evelyn Thorne. Years of observation, research, and a plan that began with a few chalk strokes. Evelyn Thorne didn't know that Leo Hayes wasn't just a cleaner. He was a man with a mission, and her empire of artifice was about to face its greatest challenge: the truth that some lessons cannot be critiqued. They must be lived. Canvas for Change operated out of an old community warehouse. Handmade, vibrant posters decorated the walls. When Evelyn and Maya entered, children with paint-splattered hands practiced collaborative mural painting. "Miss Thorne," Leo approached. "Welcome." Maya watched the children in awe. "It looks chaotic," Evelyn commented. "There is structure," Leo replied. "It's just not the one you recognize." He turned to Maya. "Would you like to join in?" The girl nodded. "Go on," Evelyn said tensely. "I'll be right here." As Leo guided Maya, Clara offered Evelyn a chair. "The first day is always the hardest," she commented, for the patrons. "This isn't proper art education," Evelyn argued. "I've hired the best academy professors." "And how has that been working for Maya?" Clara asked gently. The studio door opened, and an older woman entered, leaning on an artfully carved cane. "Dr. Anya Sharma," Clara whispered. "Renowned art historian specializing in public art movements. Retired from the Tate." Dr. Sharma greeted children before noticing Evelyn. "Miss Thorne, you've rejected my public art grants 3 times," she stated. "Dr. Sharma, I didn't expect to see you here," Evelyn replied. "I oversee the research program here," she explained. Evelyn frowned. "I thought this was just a community painting class," Leo returned. "Canvas for Change is a pilot urban revitalization program based on artistic autonomy," he explained. "We integrate collaborative public art with sociological impact principles." "Why do you clean galleries if you lead a research program?" Evelyn asked. "Because we don't have adequate funding yet, and because people like you rejected us 3 times. The penny dropped. "You were Dr. Sharma's assistant," Evelyn concluded. Dr. Sharma corrected. "Leo has an incomplete art history degree because he had to leave college to take care of his family, but his practical work is groundbreaking, and he was my lead researcher on those proposals you dismissed." "You knew who I was at the gallery?" Evelyn asked. "From the moment you walked in," Leo confirmed. "And when Maya started drawing, I recognized the opportunity to show, not tell." "Was it staged?" "The art? Absolutely not. Maya chose to draw. I chose to follow." A group of art journalists entered, and Evelyn immediately tensed. "What's this?" "Part 2 of the plan," Leo smiled. Clara showed Evelyn a newly published article. "Revolutionary Public Art Methodology Shows Promising Results." "We published our first results today," Dr. Sharma explained. "And we invited the press." "You use my protégé for a public relations stunt," Evelyn said, voice pure ice. Leo led her into a side room with photos of vibrant murals created by children. On the last wall was an empty frame. "What's that?" he asked. "Our future. The full community art center we could build, empowering 500 children a year instead of 50. "You orchestrated all this," Evelyn muttered. "The drawing, the meeting, bringing me here on press day. I saw an opportunity. 4 months ago, when you canceled our meeting, I promised myself I'd fight for this. And away, Evelyn." Clara interrupted. "It's Maya." They rushed back. Maya was in the center of the room, surrounded by other children. Someone had handed her a large spray can. The girl had just completed a bold, vibrant stroke across a blank section of the wall. An unexpected burst of color. "Maya?" Evelyn started forward, but Leo stopped her. "Wait," he whispered. "Watch." Maya took a deep breath, focused, Then, to everyone's amazement, she extended the color into a complex, spontaneous design, entirely hers. It was dynamic, fearless, and utterly authentic. The children cheered, and camera flashes went off. Evelyn's face, usually composed, was now exposed, tears glistening. "That's why we created Canvas for Change," Leo said softly. "It's not about perfect lines. It's about first strokes on your own." Evelyn watched her protégé, not as a problem, but as a complete artist discovering her own strength. "This could have been done without manipulating me," she said. "It could have been if you had answered our calls or read our proposals 3 times. The reporters noticed Evelyn. Maya, oblivious, continued creating. Evelyn Thorne was cornered. She faced 2 options: withdraw in anger, confirming her reputation as cold and calculating, or embrace the moment her protégé had created. Evelyn found herself in unfamiliar territory. Her gaze shifted between her smiling protégé and the reporters. Humility was not a virtue in her vocabulary, but seeing Maya's transformation, something inside her began to break. The orchestra of power and privilege she was accustomed to now played a different tune. Evelyn Thorne faced the reporters. Her protégé had just taken an authentic stroke, and Leo Hayes had skillfully led her to this moment. "Miss Thorne," a reporter approached, "could you comment on your presence at Canvas for Change? Is it true your foundation rejected funding for this program?" Evelyn glanced at Maya. Then, to everyone's surprise, she smiled. "You know what's hardest for someone in my position?" Evelyn addressed the reporter, admitting, "When we're wrong." A stunned silence filled the room. The Thorne Art Foundation is pleased to announce a commitment to fully fund Canvas for Change for the next 5 years and to build a permanent community art center. Based on the methodology developed by Dr. Sharma and Mr. Hayes, camera flashes exploded. Clara let out a cry of surprise. "On one condition," she added, watching Leo tense, "that Mr. Hayes retain complete artistic autonomy over the program and its methodology. No corporate interference. Because," she continued, looking directly at Leo, "it's clear that true vision here lies in following the genuine spark." 3 months later, bulldozers were clearing ground for the new Canvas for Change Community Art Center. It wasn't the most luxurious project, but it was the most innovative, designed with input from children and local artists. Leo supervised construction frequently. Maya showed up regularly, and to staff's surprise, Evelyn Thorne also showed up, silently observing. "I never thought you'd actually show up at community reviews," Leo commented. "I never thought I'd have to study urban sociology at 50, Evelyn replied, rubbing her tired eyes. A textbook on public art impact, marked with notes, lay before her. "But here we are." Leo looked at her. "Is this part of your public penance, or do you really care?" Maya completed her first large-scale public mural last week. Her previous professor said that would be impossible for at least 2 years. Leo smiled. "But you fired them, remember? Because you told me they were wrong." And they were. Leo pointed to a photo of Maya confidently leading a new group of young artists. "She's progressing faster than any traditional art prediction." "Why did you never accept my apology?" Evelyn asked suddenly. "Because you never apologized. You redirected resources, changed policies, funded our program. That's not an apology. It's compensation." Evelyn nodded slowly. "Fair." At the opening ceremony 6 months later, the contrast with a gallery night couldn't have been greater. The huge, adaptable space was filled with children and professional artists collaborating. In the center, Maya, now a confident lead artist for several projects, led a spontaneous collaborative painting session. Her movements flowed with confidence. Evelyn watched from a distance. "She doesn't need you to guide her anymore," Leo said. "No," Evelyn agreed, "but she still needs me to be around." Crucial difference. Evelyn turned to him. "Thank you," she said. "For what?" "Exactly. For teaching me to follow." A reporter approached Miss Thorne. "How does it feel to see your protégé's progress?" Evelyn looked at Maya, who was helping a younger child with a difficult color blend. Proud, not of what she's overcome, but of what she's created for others. And what's been the biggest lesson you've learned? Evelyn Thorne, known for her art empire, looked into the camera. That true patrons aren't those who dictate the path they believe is right, but those who have the courage to follow when someone shows them a more vibrant way. A year later, Canvas for Change expanded to 3 new cities. Leo received the Urban Arts Innovation Award. Maya, now a sought-after guest lecturer, enrolled in art college and became a youth art ambassador. Evelyn learned the hardest and most valuable lesson. True power lies not in controlling every stroke, but in knowing when to step back and let others create. In a world where powerful people rarely change and those without power often remain in the shadows, the story of Evelyn, Leo, and Maya reminds us that true transformation occurs when we cross invisible boundaries. When a patron learns from a street artist, when a mentor follows in her protégé's footsteps. If this story about how a simple gesture of dignity changed lives forever touched your heart, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Because we believe that the most profound revolutions don't start with grand manifestos or million-dollar acquisitions. They start when someone has the courage to take an authentic first stroke, and someone else has the wisdom to follow.